How do fire ants build rafts that float on water? And how do these rafts change as they float? In this video, I'm going to take a look at the physics of the rafts built by fire ants, which are like the rafts used by Antman in the MCU. In the MCU, when Scott Lang wears the Antman suit, he can shrink to the size of an ant. Added to that, he also has technology that allows him to control the behavior of ants. One species of ant that he uses in the films is the fire ant, a species that is well known for its nasty bite, but also can build structures, like water rafts. In the film Antman, Scott Lang breaks into the headquarters of Pymtech with a little help from some fire ants. The fire ants build a water raft to carry Scott Lang and a whole bunch of other ants into Pymtech headquarters using one of the water mains into the building. What's more, the fire ants also create a fire ant rope and a fire ant stairs to help Scott Lang get access to the building. Why do fire ants build water rafts in the first place? Well, of course, they build them in order to float on water, which can be very useful when they're trying to escape areas that might be flooding. So fire ants can build water rafts, but how do these water rafts change in shape or size as they're floating on water? In some very cool new research, scientists at the University of Colorado in Boulder in the United States have turned to physics to create some very nice computer models to simulate how ants create these rafts and how those rafts change in shape and size over time. But what exactly is the structure of these rafts that the fire ants actually build? Let's take a closer look. The raft consists of two layers, a top layer and a bottom layer. In the bottom layer, the ants cling tightly to each other to form a stable base, while in the top layer, the layer of ants can move around and walk about as if they were walking on solid ground. This is where you would find Scott Lang when he's carried by the fire ants on the raft into the headquarters of Pymtech. But the ants can do a little bit of switching and they can move from one layer to another. For example, they can move from the top layer to the bottom layer, or they can move from the bottom layer to the top layer. You can imagine that the ants in the bottom layer have to do a lot of work in order to keep that raft together. They're all clinging to each other, making sure that the raft doesn't break apart. So it really does make a lot of sense that the ants would share the responsibility in terms of who is on the bottom layer and who is on the top layer. So the ants are moving continually between the two layers in order to share the burden of keeping the raft together. This is swarm intelligence at its finest. This whole process is called treadmilling. So why is it called treadmilling? Well, in a running treadmill, there are two bands, the top band and the bottom band. And as someone runs, the band moves from the top to the bottom. The new research using the physics-based models to simulate the formation of these water rafts captures very well how these water rafts built by the fire ants evolve and change in time. Importantly, the models also simulate how the ants can form fingers that extend from the water rafts. These fingers will be used by the ants to try and find land that's nearby or act as bridges to move the raft, which is made up of ants, from the water to land. The fire ants form similar structures in the film Antman when they're helping Scott Lang to escape from the water pipe and gain entry to the headquarters of Pymtech. The new computer model was designed to simulate how water rafts built by fire ants evolve and change in time. But the same computer model could be used to study how swarms of robots interact with each other, or even to look at how advanced molecular materials could be redirected to fix or self-heal the materials of the future. And come to think of it, perhaps this model could also be used when it comes to controlling nanobots in the future. I'm very hopeful that we will create such nanobots, And perhaps these nanobots could be the ones that we use to build a suit, a nano-based suit if you will. Something like, well, maybe the Iron Man Mark 50 suit that we saw in Avengers Infinity War. Thanks for watching this video on fire ants and the water rafts they build in the real world and the ones they build in the MCU to help Ant-Man. Stay tuned for more videos. I've been Dr. Barry Fitzgerald, the superhero scientist, and until I see you next time, always think super.